Hey guys, just doing a little bit of a review of our new LG webOS smart TV. Basically, when we just replaced our old 42-inch Samsung with a 55-inch webOS smart TV. We did a bunch of research. I considered the Seiki 4K, um, a bunch of other smart and non-smart. We looked at the Vizio smart TVs. The M series looked pretty good. Um, and it was just one of those things where I was like, do you pay a little bit extra to get a smart TV? And most of the smart TVs out there aren't all that smart. So after a lot of looking and whatnot, I settled on this guy, and I've had it for about a week, and I've been really impressed with it so far. So, um, but in this review, I just wanted to go over some of the things that I hadn't seen in some of the reviews that I had watched on YouTube and elsewhere about how this TV works, just to fill in some of the gaps and unknowns when I did buy this TV as to how things worked and whatnot. So um, basically, the number one question, I'm going to talk about the apps a little bit later, like all this stuff. Um, but number one thing I didn't know how things were going to work was this is the magic remote that comes with the television, and I didn't I didn't know how this is going to work out. It's a pretty simple remote. It's got like 15 buttons on it, unlike the 40 or so that come on the universal remote that comes with our Uverse box. Um, and I didn't want to be caught in the place of having a universal remote that functioned with everything that wasn't the TV, and then have to use the magic remote when I wanted to interact with some of the apps and whatnot. Because as you can see, there's a little mouse that you get. Like there's a lot of functionality in the smart section of the television that, that you want to use the magic remote with that wouldn't work as well with it with the normal universal remote. So after having it for about a week, I don't think I have the need to have a separate remote for everything else, and I'll sort of cover how that works in this review. So um, So how do you get all of the functionality of the AT&T Uverse remote um, without having all the buttons? And the trick is that there's a volume button and a up down channel remote or a up down channel button on on the remote that do work as you would think, but um, how do I how do I get open up the guide and whatnot, right? And the trick is that there's a button on the remote called 123/input, and basically what it does is it brings you up this little on-screen display. Basically, when you're hooking up the Uverse box for the first time to the television, it runs you through sort of like a wizard where it says, "What is this box? Who is it made by? Oh, you're on AT&T in Dallas. It's made or in the Dallas area. It's um, a Motorola box." And basically, rather than you having to know what remote codes work with, you know, the Uverse box, it basically says, try these settings. Oh, that didn't work. Try these settings. Oh, that didn't work. Try these settings. Oh, that worked. Perfect. Well, that's one we'll use. And that's all part of the first round wizard. And there's basically an app that you pull up. It is called the device connector. Yeah, and you basically say um, it's a set-top box or it's a DVD player, and it asks you what connection is plugged into, all of those questions. Okay, so and it works great. I was very surprised at the breadth of options and stuff that it covered. So um, All right, so on that on-screen sort of remote, you basically have like the settings, the different connections. I don't even know what that button does, but it hasn't been useful. I effed around with it a little bit and didn't find it useful. This is a screen capture button, I think. This is if you want to power off the UVerse receiver. This basically lets you switch between all the devices. I don't know why you would use that over, using the on-screen display. If I wanted to go to channel 200, I would just click 2 and then 0, 0. The the Magic Remote has this basically, it has sort of like a wheel that you would find on a mouse, but you can also click it, and that's sort of how you select things. It's very intuitive. So there's a lot of times in UVerse, it asks you to click OK, and so you have to bring this menu up to click OK. It's a little weird. And this is how you get to the guide, right? So, on the AT&T remote, you actually have a dedicated guide button. And there is a button that I don't know why it doesn't bring up the guide, but maybe that'll be fixed in a firmware update. I don't know. And then once you're in the guide, I was like, okay, well, so I can get to the guide, but like, can I actually function within it? And using the arrows that are on the remote, you can totally navigate around it, just like you would with your AT&T remote. You can also page up and page down using either the scroll wheel or the channel buttons, also page up and page down. The one thing that I did find annoying was, so like if I'm using the arrows to navigate and I want to watch that, and I click the middle scroll wheel, it will go to that channel. But if I'm paging up and paging down, if I want to watch Arthur and click the middle wheel to go to that channel, it brings up the like TV's on-screen display because I'm in like TV mode. So what I've found I've had to do if I want to watch Arthur is I have to like go up and down one and then click it, and then it will go to that channel. So I don't know if I'm stupid or maybe tell me in the comments if there's a better way to do that, but that's one annoyance I've found. The menu takes you into the menu if you want to change any of the options or whatnot. Exit takes you out of everything and takes you back to, sort of takes you out of whatever menu you're in. Last is basically the last channel that you were on. Info, not a super useful button. We don't have the DVR hooked up right now, and we don't use the DVR a whole lot, so I can't give you a whole bunch of information about how the DVR works. These play, pause, and whatnot buttons, I assume they'd be useful for if you were using the DVR or if you're watching on demand. We use the on demand within UVerse very occasionally, so we prefer to use Amazon or Netflix or something like that. So, and and you can also control. We have a sound bar, which is out over optical, so we can just change it quickly within here, which is nice. So the speakers that are built into this television are awesome. I'm not an audiophile or anything, but like a lot of TV speakers, I've seen a lot of TV speakers at work and just reviews and stuff, and most are really tinny. It's hard. We've got a good Harman Kardon soundbar as well, and it's hard for me to know sometimes whether it's going out the soundbar or not. So usually the only reason I can tell it's coming out the soundbar is like because of the subwoofer. So it fills the room pretty good. They did a good job with them. So that's basically how the on-screen remote works. Yeah, I've been really impressed with the Magic Remote. Just to do a bit more of a review of how the television itself works is we use Netflix. We don't really use Hulu Plus. We use Amazon. I'm a big YouTube fan. My wife and our son or her son, not they use YouTube very lightly. So Skype doesn't work because we don't have a camera hooked up to the TV. You know, we have enough devices to do Skype. It's not a big deal for us. Smart Share is, I don't know if it's a DLNA thing or if it's an LG only thing. Basically, it wants you to install some software on your computer so that you can do over the network stuff. This TV comes with Wi-Fi and or cabled Ethernet, which is great. This is where your screen captures are shared, but you can actually connect over to the devices over the network. And I don't know if it's using DLNA or it doesn't seem to be using SMB. So I don't know if you could set up just a normal like DLNA or whatever that protocol is called, like a Western Digital Live. I know a couple buddies who use that device to stream stuff over the network or whatnot, or some sort of NAS box or whatever. Or if you have to use the LG software, I really just haven't dug into it. I'm sure I'll do it sometime later. You can also do things like Widi. It supports Widi, which is real interesting. Wireless display, Intel's wireless display. There's also Miracast, which is a new standard. It also supports. So whether you want to do screen mirroring or just connect two files that are located elsewhere on the network, it kind of attempts to do both. So it's not like super amazing at like it doesn't seem like I really wish it could just talk to network file shares. That'd be really great. So at some point I may F around with this a little bit more, upload another video. Because I don't know what files, like what file formats it supports. I imagine H.264, that type of thing. There's also like this section in here about DivX. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. So that's that Smart Share section. The browser in here is actually, I found not too bad, to be 100% honest with you. I did a little bit of snooping around, and it looks like it reports itself as Chrome 26, which is very interesting. To a web, so hopefully you'll get around most things that like block TVs or set-top boxes that have browsers on them. It isn't the speediest browser. Like CNN, I'll pull up CNN here, and you'll see it takes a hell of a long time to load, and it isn't super. Like I'm scrolling, and it takes like a second for it to register. But when you do play video, like obviously it doesn't support Flash, but like any site that is sort of optimized for mobile will have H.264. It takes a while to load, but once it does play, this would be more impressive if it actually worked. Once it does play, it actually does a pretty decent job of like excellent frame rate and all that stuff.
Traveled to Ohio before it was known that the first healthcare worker was ill.
So
at that point, that patient,
that's excellent frame rate.
Healthcare team.
There's no way to like make it full screen or anything like that, but it works pretty well. And I've used Reddit on here and whatnot. It's not like would I prefer to use my phone? Absolutely. But as a web browser on an embedded device goes, it's actually not terrible. So the Netflix and YouTube apps, the Netflix app is actually fantastic. They do a really good job. Do make sure you update your television, and basically, well, I don't know if it'll let you launch the app or not without updating it, but the updates happen quick. We've got 25 megs, so it happens like it's a 2 or 5 meg application, so it doesn't take long to update. And some of the apps use the LG keyboard, which is sort of like a full screen, full width keyboard. Yeah, see, it's got an update. So I just updated this the other day, and it's already an update. So let me show you how long it takes to update. So it's always good to see. It's kind of annoying to have to update it every time you use it, but it's also good to know that Netflix and LG are at least supporting, not just shoving it out the door and saying, oh well, good luck with it. I don't care if there's bugs. So and when you do use the Netflix app, it does support profiles, which is real nice. So it's very much like you know like the Netflix website. It's very comparable. Plays in high quality. I don't know how high def it is, but it looks very good. So I'd assume it's high def ish. Um, so yeah, the apps I've been pretty impressed with so far. The let me see if I can get to the search. Yeah, so this is one thing I don't like is so in the browser you get that nice full screen like keyboard that's like a traditional WASD keyboard. This one is like alphabetical and a square, which is really weird. The YouTube app does the same thing. So I don't know why that is the way it is, but it's really not logical. Um, why they do that. I guess they want to have the keyboard off to the left here, and then have it show stuff over here. I don't know. I kind of like the keyboard at the bottom. Whatever, it's their choice. Um, and in this little view, you can reorganize how you want the apps to be displayed. So, for example, I don't use Hulu Plus, so I can either move it all the way to the end, or you can just, delete it. It's another option. So it's an LG store, which, like you can get extra apps like Spotify, that type of thing on here. I don't know if we're gonna do that or not. If we're gonna, like, it makes you sign up, and it's like I don't need another thing to be signed up for. And luckily, it lets you update the apps that are built in without signing up for the LG store, which is kind of nice. Um, there's a built-in user guide. There's a really good tutorial it gets you to go through when you first set up the thing. The device connector, as I talked about earlier, so it does a really good job walking you through the process and having a whole bunch of stuff built in, which is nice. I don't know what it would be like outside of the U.S. because oftentimes the U.S. stuff is very excellent, and then outside the U.S. it's kind of like, oh, sorry, there's one option. Oh, you don't have a Sky One satellite dish? Oh well, you're out of luck then. I don't know why there's a whole section for notifications, but like, oh, I guess it's the history of all the notifications that you've ever gotten, because that's something I want to spend my time doing. This Today app. One of the weird things with the LG Store and the Today app is that it sort of shows you like suggestions for what is playing, what you could watch using the apps within the TV. And I don't know if they're connected to the LG Store or if they're hooked into Amazon or Netflix or whatever. I assume it's probably through the store. The other thing is there's ads, and it's like I paid money for this television. I don't want why are you showing me ads on my television? Type of thing. Which is a little weird. So yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, this is like previous things that you've been in, the previous apps that you've been in today. So that's basically how that thing works. Yeah, if you have any more questions, just let me know in the comments below. Please rate and subscribe. Thumbs up, thumbs down, and hope you have a good day.